let's move on to the funeral, which has happened. And before we came on, the Queen's coffin, was proceeding through London. So that's as far as we got before we had to start the podcast. But of course, the royal website put out the arrangement for the funeral, and so today she was travelled in procession from Westminster Abbey to Wellington Arch. Then it will go to Windsor once this has all been done, and then a committal service will happen in St George's Chapel in Windsor. And so the procession spaces to Westminster Abbey had filled up by 9 a.m. today. So, lots and lots and lots of people turned out to see this. And I was, if you can go to the next one, just so you can see the, just like, look, just, there's no more queuing, basically. Everything's full. Don't come. But anyway, so I was watching the BBC coverage this morning, and it was actually surprisingly good. The BBC's commentators were not atrocious for once. Nagaman Chatty wasn't making any snide comments about colonialism.
Oh, thank goodness!
Yeah,
at least at some point they can retain a sense of propriety, I suppose.
Yeah, even the BBC were like, "Oh God, we're
going to have to be respectful to the monarchy
and to the concept of Britain." Oh God, But yeah, so at 10:30 the procession had arrived at Whitehall. It was good to. We'll watch some of the clips in a second. Apparently there'll be 96 tolls of Big Ben today, obviously for the 96 years of Queen Elizabeth's life. There were huge crowds applauding as the procession went through Whitehall, which was really nice. So let's watch clip number 1 of things being done properly. See, it's the Queen's Royal Guards, the Navy, bagpipes playing as the Queen's coffin is marched forward. And this carriage itself is hundreds of years old, probably about as old as the United States. And on top, you've got the royal satin orb and, of course, the crown, the jewels that were sourced from the Empire, which people have been complaining about. But as you can see, things are being done properly, right?
Yeah. And those complaining about being sourced from the Empire, all I say is tough luck, losers.
Yeah, deal with it. Come and take them. So yeah, that was things being done properly, which I approve of. And so this next one is just the procession arriving at Westminster Abbey. The whole way the bagpipes were playing, which I thought was nice.
Everyone in lockstep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine there was a lot of rehearsal that went into this.
Of course.
Appropriately.
It shows.
Yeah.
Bo was mentioning, my God, we are good at pageantry, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Don't you want a republic? No.
No, if we have to get rid of all of this, no.
And the thing is, everything on the coffin has historical significance and has a tie to something that had happened in the past. I don't know it all. I just was watching a lot of the commentary and covering. It's this particular wreath was cut from a particular tree that was planted by one of her ancestors and stuff like this. It's oh my God,
I mean, to put it in a phrase that you've used before, I think, or something similar. I don't need to know exactly why all of it is there or what it specifically symbolises, because it's magic. In essence, it's magic, and the magic works.
Yeah, these things are on there for a reason, and I know they're there for a reason. And so it's even if I don't know what that reason is, I can respect the fact that they're there for a reason. But anyway, this is the procession into Westminster Abbey, where there are going to be loads and loads of heads of state from all around the world, not just the Commonwealth, and other notable and important people. But let's play this next clip. See, I love the fact they've got the choir singing and everything in Westminster Abbey.
It's beautiful.
It's like as you know, like you said, Bo. Nobody does pageantry like us. Westminster Abbey, right? And just to speak, I know you're going to talk about this later, but like Westminster Abbey initially started life in 1052 as St Peter's Abbey, commissioned by Edward the Confessor, the last Anglo-Saxon king of England. You know, like William the Conqueror was crowned here, and this is a building that literally is like
Almost 1,000
almost
years.
yeah. Well, I think it was initially like founded in like 1030 something, but it was fully finished in 1052.
It was built up over time.
Yeah, but yeah. So this and then this is like a Norman building on that has been extended onto it. But the point is, this has been going on for 1,000 years. You know, the first funeral service, and this is the first funeral service at the Abbey since 1760 as well. Like just the weight of history, the hand of history lays on this place so heavily. You know, you can't. And the thing about the point of historical tradition and depth is that you literally can't fabricate it. You know, there is only one way to have 1,000 years of history, and that's to do the same thing for 1,000 years. It cannot be falsified. It cannot be made fraudulent. It can only be and authentically done by doing the thing. You know, that's the thing. That's what makes it so unique and so important. Like, there's only one way to achieve 1,000 years of continuous history, and that's to defend it. So the next one is, I just thought was quite nice, is a rendition of God Save the King in the thing with particular focus on King Charles. Let's watch. You can see the tear in his eye and the sort of quavering of his lip there.
I mean, it must be
a
horrible day for him, you know. They're singing in his honour, but this is still his own mother's funeral.
God Save the King, of course, is ancient as well, just in case any foreigners are thinking, well, how long's that been going on? It was adopted as the Commonwealth and Empire's national anthem in 1745. So, older than the United States, during the reign of King George III. But of course, the phrase itself in English history predates that by many, many centuries. I mean, as early as 1545, God Save the King was the watchword of the Royal Navy. So to know if someone was on your side, you'd say, God Save the King, and they would say, long to reign over us. And so this is, the hand of history just lies on this thing. So the funeral services then process through London. There's going to be a minute's silence at 8 p.m. this today, which, just to mark remembrance of the Queen. And people are invited to mark the occasion privately at home or at community events and vigils. And then, so all of this, I think, is important magic. And then we get to hear from the experts. Oh my God. As Nick Dixon points out on Twitter, the experts are back. It's like, yeah, I'm an expert in crowd behaviour, and I do not believe that everyone queuing in London is mourning the Queen.
Well, certainly that man who jumped into the Thames, perhaps not.
yeah,
the guy not English, so I don't really care.
The guy who's trying to tip over the Queen's coffin, possibly not. Brilliant observation, Stephen. But anyway, in this article, right, he says he's got some good points, right? He says those who strongly identify as British and who see the Queen as the embodiment of Britishness are attending for the simple reason they see it as an obligation to do so. Attendance is an affirmation of who they are, and not attending would be a denial of their identity. Moreover, as with any pilgrimage, the fact that it is grueling is not off-putting. It is precisely what makes it a meaningful sign of commitment and belonging. For these people, the loss of the monarch is experienced as a personal death. It is grieved profoundly. That's a good.
That's all very correct so far. I think the actual framing of it as a pilgrimage is very good. And also, once again, whether or not they want to accept it. Whoever this expert is might be one of those ones who would say, "Oh, there's no such thing as English culture," is pointing out actually there is. And it's deeply felt in many English people, whether they outwardly recognise it consciously on a day-to-day basis or not. All of a sudden, this happens, and they feel the call within them.
Sorry if I'm sniffling. I caught my kid's runny nose over the weekend. But he carries on anyway, saying, what makes this all the more significant is it's not just crowds who are unified in fealty. The crowds are represented as the concrete embodiment of national community. They are us. The fact that they are in mourning means that Britain is mourning. We are a nation united in support of the monarch. It follows that anyone who departs from this view is not us and risks exclusion from the national community. You see where this is going, don't you? Yeah.
I do see where this is going, but so far, yes, I agree. Yeah. This is right. This is correct.
You are right.
This is where most other countries see themselves as an us versus them.
And this is where the leftists, the Islamists, whoever, the foreigners who are seeking to topple over the Queen's tomb, suddenly you are realising, hang on a second, there's becoming a shared concept of you're not us, actually. And so he says this has a chilling effect. It means that certain things, such as challenging the hereditary transfer of power and wealth, cannot be said, not only through direct repression, as in the arrest of those expressing Republican views, but also through self-censorship. Oh, cry me a bloody river. I do not care. For we are led to believe that everyone else loves the monarchy and demands due to deference to the monarch, and the monarchy will be reluctant to challenge such for fear of a backlash, and in that turn reinforce the impression that these views are universal and what has been called a spiral of sirens. Good. Just don't want to hear. Don't want to hear from you.
So the worry that they're expressing here is that this might actually unify the English people and create a
not just the English either, the British.
Well, the British people, and create an almost shared consciousness, a collective consciousness of the kind that they try and inspire in everybody else.
In classes,
Yes, in classes, in identities, in races, but the English and the British, no.
Exactly. Having this shared British identity that brings everyone together and say, actually, it's wrong to attack Britain. The Republicans are going to be like, well, but I really want to attack our country and the history and everything it's built on and stands for.
If you don't want us to do that, how are we supposed to subvert your institutions and heritage?
That's exactly the complaint. The what this is doing is creating barriers to communist subversion. Say The Guardian. Yeah, exactly. Good. I don't care. Self-censor. Be quiet. I don't want to hear from you at this particular point, right? And so yesterday, Owen Jones, again, communist subverter, did a live stream talking about this, and it was hilarious. Of course, you've got the most anti-British person, Owen Jones, flanked by Dr. Shola, joking, obviously she's the most anti-British. Descended from Nigerian royalty, of course, so...
These are two people who I wouldn't want discussing such a thing. I mentioned it on the premium video the other day with Connor, the parable of Chesterton's fence, the idea of you've got a fence, someone comes along and goes, I don't know why this is here, let's destroy it. Yeah. No, you're the worst person to try and destroy something.
Well, that's Owen, but the thing is, Dr. Schuller, as she's descended from royalty, she actually understands the concept of royalty. Like, her grandfather was like some sort of Nigerian prince or something. And like I think it's
He's not dipping into anyone's emails asking for money, is he?
No. Like, genuinely, like she's got a claim to the Republic of Nigeria, actually.
Oh my goodness.
But
that's scary.
But she is actually not picking up the criticisms that Owen Jones is picking up, right? He's picking up standard leftist criticisms, inherited wealth and republic.
A democracy.
Yeah, exactly, right? But her complaint was, look, I don't think King Charles will protect me. And that's very interesting, isn't it? Because that's actually a very conservative, very traditional view of what the monarch is supposed to do.
Protector of the realm.
Yeah, exactly. As like Machiavelli famously put it, a prince should have no thought other than war. That's your job. And so Owen Jones spends a lot of this optimistically saying, well, do you think we'll see a republic? And he gets Aaron Bastani on of Novara Media, who's just like, not in our lifetimes, mate. It's not happening, and it's not happening, you communist scum.
Cope and seethe.
Yeah, exactly. Go and dilate in the corner, Owen. Right, and we can see actually this is measurable, right? So there has been a remarkable amount of goodwill that has been extended to King Charles, which I think is very appropriate. So before he became king, he had an approval rating of about 39%. 39% of people thought he'd do a good king. Now it's 63% of people. So you can see a massive increase in how people think he'll do. And only 15% think he'll do a bad job, down from about 30%. So you can...
The people love a good redemptive arc.
They do.
And this has been a hell of a redemptive arc for Charles. Before that, he was, conducted himself in a less than proper manner in the past.
Yeah.
People have seen him as a disgrace. And yet, when the time came for him to step up and do his duty, he has.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is what's very interesting is that, I mean, I take it you watched his address, right?
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah,
But...
it wasn't even very long, but it was good actually. There are a few parts that as an anti-woke crusader, I might be like, oh god, he said that word, but overall, a very good tone, and he did a good job of it. And so, 94% thought his address to the nation was good, with only 3% being critical. What were you going to criticize? Like, you didn't pledge allegiance to communism or something. But apparently younger voters were less positive, with only 46% believing he would do a good job, with a quarter saying he would do badly. But the thing is, that's still almost twice as many young people who think he'll be good than bad. So that's, again, like, even in the Zoomers, like, there's much more goodwill towards the monarchy than antipathy.
And they probably couldn't explain it, why that is, if you asked them.
Of course not.
But they don't need to explain it.
Yeah.
It's something that's felt.
And Charles seems to be actually doing a good job for his first week on the throne. He just kept working, actually, which is respectable. He, as the Times put it, he worked like a Starkonovite. For anyone who doesn't know, the Starkonovites were a sort of communist movement that were dedicated to working as hard as they could for the people. So strange turn of phrase by the Times there. But yeah, he travelled from Scotland to London for the proclamation, fitting in a walkabout with an audience of Prime Minister, before flying back to receive a motion of condolence and speaking to a bunch of head of states. So he's been busy. And so the question is, well, is Charles going to be a divisive and politicised monarch? And, well, we have an interview from when he was in 2018. BBC documentary marked his 70th birthday, and Charles said he would no longer make public interventions on political matters when he becomes the king. Quote, "I'm not that stupid." So there we go. I thought that the entire thing was beautiful, actually. Very well executed. Everyone conducted themselves appropriately, apart from a couple of foreigners.
To be expected in these days, sadly. The fact that it's only been one or two big news reports about people like that is nothing else if not promising to me.
Yeah, that's good.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this one on sneaky journalists and their rhetorical tricks. You want to follow what else Josh is putting out? You can follow him on Getter at Josh_firm on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.